Oh, Josh, is it really even worth making? Come on now. Having the power to harness your own soft, pillowy buns, they can be as big or as small, as round or square, I guess, as you could ever want. It's the perfect way to make the perfect bun, because if you think about it, when you make a hamburger or a sandwich, it's 50% of the equation. That, to me, is worth the effort. And it's really not that hard, and it's something that I think anybody can do with the right technique. So with that being said, let's make this, shall we? We'll start by boiling and processing our potatoes, then we'll mix our dough, let it rise until double, divide, and then shape into balls. Finally, proof, bake, lightly brush with melted butter, and serve with whatever you like. Potato buns, or potato rolls, or whatever you want to call them. You might have guessed, it starts with a potato. A lot of them use potato starch, potato flour. Bullshit. All you need is a good old-fashioned spud pulled right from the earth. I ain't need no goddamn dehydration processes. Peel your potato. You can do this straight over a trash can. If you're doing a large amount or you're peeling a lot of potatoes, here's a fun little trick. You just peel it over a little sheet of parchment paper. That way, once you're done, you just pick up the parchment paper, throw it away. Maybe a little wasteful to do it with one potato, but if you're doing a lot, there's a little trick for you. Now, boil your potato whole. This could take 20 minutes, it could take 40 minutes. It depends very much on the size of your potato. If you wanted to go faster, you could also cut it into pieces, but try not to make the pieces any smaller than about 1.5 inches thick. What we're trying to do is avoid introducing too much water to the potato. And the smaller the pieces, the more water introduced. But once this is done, your potato needs to be extremely soft. If I take this bad boy out, let me show you what I mean. Be like a baby's soft spot. Wow, that's what happens when I don't think before I speak. All right, we're gonna cut these into pieces that will fit into a potato ricer. Get yourself a bowl, potato ricer on the finest setting. Add your potatoes to that, just press them through. That is it. Now, listen, whenever you potato rice anything, you never get a perfectly smooth potato, almost never. So what I like to do is you take your potato, add it to a chinois or any metal fine mesh strainer, and you're just gonna push the potato through that using a rubber spatula. It's gonna look like it's not gonna go through and you go, oh Josh, it's not going through, I'm freaking out. Look, just give it a few minutes. Just keep pushing it and you can see how this potato is coming through there. But the beauty of that is it's doing two things. It's gonna help remove a little bit of the water, especially those waterlogged pieces, but it's also gonna make sure that this potato is so beautifully fine that when it goes into your dough, you don't have any clumps in your dough. I mean, look at this. Look at how smooth that potato is. I mean, that is a beautiful thing to look at. And if I'm gonna put potato in a dough, it should look like this. Although it's optional, highly recommended. So you only need a half cup of this, which is usually gonna be around 1 medium russet potato. If you have any left over, just freeze it and use it for the next time. Okay, we're gonna dissolve the yeast. Oh, you could call it blooming, but really you don't need to bloom yeast anymore. I just like to dissolve it so it's out of the way. Okay, personal preference. We're doing everything in grams. But Josh, we're American. We don't do grams. Grams are a necessity to keep this recipe consistent. If you decide not to use grams and decide to transfer to cups, please don't. Go get a scale, please. So we have 245 grams of milk and 55 grams of water, both of which are around 90 to 95 Fahrenheit. You want it warm to get the yeast to go, You're then gonna whisk in 7 grams of yeast, and I actually like to add the sugar at this stage, personal preference. 50 grams of granulated sugar. Make sure you're whisking vigorously so that that dissolves. Josh, can we replace the sugar with honey? No, you cannot. It's gonna change the flavor, it's gonna change the sweetness level, it's gonna change how it bakes. Keep it with good old-fashioned white processed sugar, because that makes unbelievable bread, bruv. Now, let this sit till it dissolves, take about 2 minutes. Making the dough is very simple. We're using a stand mixer to make the dough to make it far easier. If you don't have a stand mixer, you're gonna replace the butter with more vegetable oil and add it, when I add the vegetable oil in just a second, 575 grams of bread flour, 14 grams of salt. Yes, it's a lot, trust me. 1 gram, no more, of amylase, optional. It's like a bread, it makes your bread soft, like commercial Wonder Bread. Half a teaspoon, small pinch of turmeric powder, optional as well, mostly for color. And I know this is not a gram measurement because it's under 1 gram, and my scale does not go to fractional grams, but if you can get that, great. Now you're gonna whisk that together just so it's evenly combined. Add the arm of your stand mixer thingy, spiral, whatever the hell you call that goddamn thing. Low speed, you're gonna add your yeasty milkies and 25 grams of vegetable oil right away, along with 1 whole egg, an egg yolk, and your mashed taters. Just walk away, let it do its thing on medium-low speed, scrape the sides occasionally until you get a nice smooth dough, about 3 to 5 minutes. If you're using your hand, guess what? Just mix. Once it forms a dough, you knead it until it's smooth. Now, once you get a smooth, extensible dough, we're not done. 30 grams of softened butter. Now, Again, if you're doing this by hand, you would have already added all the oil and you're not doing any butter because it's very hard to integrate by hand. But with a stand mixer, it makes it a lot easier. So just kind of get that going a little bit and then we're just gonna let this go. And again, medium-low speed, 2 to 3 more minutes. Listen, this dough's really finicky, so you're gonna pull this out and you're probably gonna go, oh my God, it's so sticky, it's so loose. If it's too sticky and you just can't manage, you can always add flour, a little more, about a tablespoon at a time, little pinch, until it comes together. Just try not to add too much because the more flour you add, the less moist these are gonna come out. Another thing you can do to try and work this a little, right? Mine's pretty soupy. Just get your hand in there, form this shape. You're gonna scoop and slap against the side of the bowl like this. And this is gonna take, again, could take a minute, 2 minutes, until it starts to come together and pull from the sides of the bowl. This dough is very wet and sticky. Don't be afraid. If it's not developing, if it's not getting smooth enough, just keep mixing it in your stand mixer, or you can use the slap and fold method like this, where you slap it down on the counter, fold it over itself, and rinse and repeat. Your hands will get sticky and messy, don't worry. And it can take up to 10 minutes to develop this dough. Once it's smooth, you can grease your hands and transfer back to your stand mixer. Plop it back into your stand mixer bowl, which has been greased. You're gonna cover that with plastic wrap or a damp towel. Make sure there's no holes where air can get in. We want this to stay moist. You're gonna let this rise at room temperature for about 1.5 to 2 hours or just until doubled. I have to reiterate, the reason why it's so wet is because you want the moisture for the final buns so they're light, fluffy, and not dry bricks. As this rises, it will become easier to work with. Just let it do its thing. Okay, these have risen. Look at that beautiful dough. Ooh, smells good. Now, cooking spray. Start to loosen the underside. You're gonna punch it down, and then you're just gonna scoop that bad boy out using a flexible bench scraper. Boom, just like that. Now, and if it's getting sticky, just spray the underside of it a little bit. I don't wanna use any flour in this stage. You can spray the dough too if it's getting too sticky for you. Now, I want these each to be about 105 grams per ball. Boom, 100 grams, I'll take that. Not perfect, but close enough. And then you're just gonna repeat that with your whole dough. Sometimes you're gonna end up with 11, sometimes you'll end up with 12. We'll call it 10 to 12. Now, get yourself a little sticky boy. You're gonna fold the outside in towards the center, roll it over, and then you're gonna lightly roll that, keeping constant contact with the board. See how my fingers are staying in contact with the board? While you roll it into little circles. And that's gonna get tighter and tighter until you get a nice, tight, little ball, just like that. And repeat with the rest of your dough. So we'll take you some practice. If you wanna grease your hands, you can. Now as you go, you're gonna transfer that to a baking sheet with parchment paper that's been lightly greased. Okay, so these all need to proof. Before you proof them, give them a light spray. Take a flat bottom cup and just lightly press those out. Just make them a little bit more circular, make them a little flatter because they're gonna go up. Now you're gonna wrap each of these in plastic wrap and proof them just like this at room temperature for like 20 to 30 minutes or just until they begin to rise a little bit. Not quite doubled, like 1.5 times in size because they're gonna get even bigger when they bake. Now that they're proofed, before you bake, you must brush lightly with whole milk, making sure to thoroughly coat the entire top of the bun with one thin layer of milk. Now once those are done, you're gonna place that into an oven set to 375 Fahrenheit. Convection is ideal. You can also do it on regular bake, 15 to 17 minutes. But look at these little spheres, dude. As soon as those come out, you're gonna brush those immediately with melted butter. That's gonna do 2 things. The first thing it's gonna do is gonna make them look really yummy. The second thing it's gonna do is it's gonna protect the outside and soften the outside. The protection is keeping it from going too dry as they cool down, but the other thing is it's softening that outside. So you don't end up with a hard crust, you're gonna end up with a nice, soft, squishy crust. As soon as those are brushed, you're gonna immediately transfer them over to a wire rack to cool off and allow air to circulate around them. Now these are a little less browned because they were on the bottom rack, but that's totally fine, it's not gonna hurt them. Some ovens bake a little unevenly. And so if you have some on a top rack versus the bottom rack, they're gonna bake just fine, but they might not get the same amount of color. You could leave these in for a few minutes longer on the top rack and they'll get the color you might want. I really don't care, I'm just gonna pull them out. Okay, so your buns are done. Now we're gonna let them cool to room temperature before we even touch them. I will say, while they're cooling, oftentimes I will snag a hot one out of the oven and spread some butter with some salt in there, and it's a really good time. But that is not a part of this recipe, now is it? That's just me being greedy. Now to show off this beautiful bun, we're gonna start by smashing 2 beef patties that have been topped beautifully with thinly sliced white onion, flip, cover with American cheese, and stack. Transfer your patties to your toasted potato bun that have been slathered with my burger sauce, layered with dill pickle planks, and crown your king. It's simple, but beautiful. The link for this burger recipe, if you want it, is in the description. But how do these buns stack up by themselves? Beautiful, soft, fluffy, springy. You know, I have another hamburger bun recipe that's in my cookbook. The link for my cookbook is in the description, by the way. This recipe is kind of based loosely off that. I added potato and a few other ingredients. And I always said to myself, this is the perfect bun recipe, the one that's in my book. I don't know if that's true anymore or not, because they're both excellent, but what makes this one different and makes this one special is the potato that's added to it adds a certain just ridiculous softness and chewiness that's so nice. And it's got some sweetness, it's salted nicely, but it's not like a Hawaiian roll sweet, it's just like balanced. Now, although this is for a hamburger, you could use these buns for a chicken sandwich, a nice breakfast sandwich, make a turkey club with this. Anything that needs a bun, you can use this for. But that said, how does a burger taste? Hands down, as a burger-specific bun, I really think these buns are better than the hamburger bun recipe in my cookbook. I think that burger bun recipe is way better for multi-purpose use, including burgers. But specifically for a hamburger, this is the best burger bun recipe I think I've ever done. And I've done a lot, and I would argue I have one of the most famous ones on the internet. Get out there, try it, don't be scared, you can do it. I love you so much, subscribe, see ya.